Thank you for joining us on Black Investments Matter. I'm Antoine Anderson. Today we're going to be talking about domestic versus foreign aid. As we come online today, Israel, by far the largest recipient of foreign aid from the United States, is under attack from Hezbollah and Hamas. Let's talk about what happens and where that money comes from and why it goes to the places it goes to. U.S. foreign policy, by far our biggest tool or weapon in dispensing our foreign policy, is international aid packages. Whether we're talking about international aid going to Ukraine or, as we found out early this morning, the Israeli foreign aid package, which by far dwarfs any other nation on the planet as far as U.S. involvement. There is going to be a cost to this latest intifada coming from the Gaza Strip invading Israeli-held territories. Now, whether or not you follow these particular skirmishes between those two groups in the Holy Land, it really doesn't matter. As an American citizen, our role is to pay taxes. And our tax dollars are where these aid packages come from. The thing that we have to remember, no matter which side of those bombs falls, it is U.S. tax dollars that will go to rebuild these countries in one way, shape, or form. As we speak, or as you're watching buildings tumbling down in the Gaza Strip, as it relates to the retaliation that Israel is now leveling against Gaza. The interesting thing here is how and why this happened at this critical juncture of time. Well, to do that, you have to understand the relationship between our foreign aid packages and our domestic taxation policy. First and foremost, without a sitting Speaker of the House of Representatives, no other business, no other political business can take place except electing another Speaker of the House. Everything else takes a back seat. Why? Because those packages have to be approved by Congress. It is the House of Representatives that takes all of our tax dollars and sets the budget and sends it to be signed into law by the Senate and the President. Without that Speaker of the House engaged in this process, nothing else is get done. That means the aid packages are stopped. Nothing is getting voted on. No new business can go before Congress until we get a Speaker of the House in office. Remember, it only took 8 conservative voices to oust Speaker McCarthy. And I say 8 conservative voices because it wasn't a Democrat that could have called this vote to the table. Couldn't have been done. That was all on the House side. And those 8 voices pushed the vote, and they sided with the Democrats, and Speaker McCarthy is no more. As a result, we will not know until sometime next week whether or not any one of the potential Republican candidates will go ahead and become the next Speaker of the House. And in the meantime, bombs will still fall in Israel. Bombs will still fall in the Ukraine. And no one will be approving any additional aid to go to those two places. Meanwhile, we also have the added burden of domestically financing both the foreign aid packages to Venezuela and the 3 million or so migrants, most of them or some of them coming from Venezuela, who are now living on our U.S. streets, homeless and without jobs. And we're having to shelter, protect, and feed those people as well as they are destitute. The only loser in this situation is the American taxpayer, because we're having to foot the bill for all of this. Until we have a policy in place that kind of corrects this, and until we have a Speaker of the House in office, it is going to look very, very grim for a good many people around the globe. I'm staying out of any discussion of the Palestinian and Israeli conflict. And because it is much older than any of us, we're not going to solve those problems within a podcast. Needless to say that when you have an oppressed people anywhere on the globe, there are going to be some actions. In fact, the entire state of Israel was only created because they were at one point oppressed people in the countries they came from before the United Nations placed them in their homeland. In so doing, they displaced the Palestinians that had been living there for centuries. And that is the beginning of what we're talking about. But ending in this type of violence of what you're seeing, there's just no real rhyme or reason to it. And we will pray for all the lives that are lost, and we will try to keep an eye on it. But in order for us to understand the relationship between our policies in the U.S. and our tax dollars, which goes to fund these governments, we have to have this space so that more people can understand what is going on. No one has bothered to tell, especially the African Americans in this country, what these international policies actually do to our credibility around the world. Like it or lump it, we are part of this equation. Until we become more informed on how and why these aid packages are having to be placed into effect, we will continue to be second-class citizens, and we must take control of the narrative, or at least have a say in it. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments and questions below. Again, don't make this a forum about who's right or wrong. It's all wrong. Okay, and there's only degrees of wrong? No, it's just all wrong. The only thing we want to do in this podcast is bring attention to where those investments are going and how they're being spent. Remember, not all money is good money, so watch how you spend it. Talk to you later.